Welcome or welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be comparing the Hobonichi Weeks to the Kinbor Weeks. Now this is going to be a very lengthy video and I'll try to be as detailed as possible so that you can make an educated decision on which planner you prefer. Before we begin, I do want to get a disclaimer out there. I have been a Kinbor user for the past 4+ years, and frankly, this is my first time owning a Hobonichi Weeks. And I only got this for the purpose of this comparison, so I have never used a Hobonichi Weeks before. Of course, I'm probably a little biased towards the Kinbor Weeks as it is all I know, but I do also love the Hobonichi brand. I have nothing against them, and I would highly recommend Hobonichi planners as well. I just like to position the Kinbor planners as a cheaper alternative to the Hobonichi. The Hobonichi is the blueprint. Totally go for this planner if you love it. But if you don't have the budget for it, that's when I would recommend the Kinbor planner, because for the price, you get something very similar to Hobonichi, which we will dive into. And again, it's all about preference. If you know you're going to be using the planner every single day, then absolutely the splurge on Hobonichi is worth it. But if you're someone who's starting to get into the planning community, or you're thinking about trying out Hobonichi but you don't know if you'll be consistent, then that's when I recommend Kinbor, because they are cheaper and you can kind of experiment without shelling out the money. For the sake of this comparison video, I'm going to try to be as objective as possible. I'm only going to list the differences and I'm not really going to inject my own personal preferences, because again, this is kind of just to showcase these two different planners. Now, I anticipate this video being pretty long because not only am I a yapper, but I'm probably going to go through page by page and kind of just see what I notice as I go. So I'm actually going to start with a quick TLDR for anyone who doesn't have the time or just wants to know the differences in bullet point format, which I did list out, and I will go through these in detail when we do the flip through and page by page comparison. But again, this is just a quick TLDR, okay? First up, Kinbor. On the grid pages, the blank pages at the back, it is 24 boxes across and 52 down. For Hobonichi, it is 23 across and 49 down. Kinbor has white paper, Hobonichi has cream paper. They are both 52 GSM Tomoe River paper. Kinbor has gray lines or gray ink, whereas Hobonichi has black lines and black ink. For the yearly index, Kinbor has 6 pages, so it's 2 months per page and you get the full year. Whereas Hobonichi, you just get one spread of the yearly index, so you have all 12 months on this spread. Kinbor has 50 blank grids, Hobonichi has 75 blank grids. On the weekly pages, Kinbor doesn't have any quotes that take up space at the bottom, whereas the Hobonichi does. On the weekly page, Kinbor has icons, and the Hobonichi does not. And by icons, I just mean little icons on the side here, which you'll see later. Aside from the date and the English day, for the Kinbor date box, it'll show the Chinese day, Chinese lunar calendar date, and what number day of the year it is. For Hobonichi, aside from the date and the day in English, it'll show the moon phase and the day in Japanese. For Kinbor, the weekly spread on the right is going to be 50 boxes down and 24 across. For Hobonichi, it's going to be 42 down and 23 across. The Kinbor inner covers are decorated, whereas the Hobonichi inner covers are just their logo. Kinbor has a pocket included. Hobonichi provides an adhesive pocket that you can stick on or choose not to. Kinbor does not have any extra months, whereas Hobonichi will provide you December, January, February, and March, so you get 4 extra months. Kinbor has a yearly plan page, Hobonichi does not. For the weekly grid on the right, Kinbor has 5 boxes for the divider, Hobonichi has 6 boxes for the divider. In the monthly view, Kinbor provides the previous and next month, Hobonichi does not. There are 10 extra pages in Kinbor, and I mean extra pages as in the things that they provide in the back outside of the grid pages. Hobonichi has 8 extra pages. Price point, this is the biggest thing. Kinbor can span from $10 to $25. I've gotten my planners as cheap as $12, I want to say, and that's shipping included. People who are new to AliExpress, which is where you get the Kinbor, by the way, have coupons, so I've seen people get their planners for $1. I got my Hobonichi on sale on Amazon, so I don't know the traditional pricing, but I do believe it is $32 and there will be shipping. There is no English version of the Kinbor planner, although most of the things that you need to know are already in English, like the days of the week or the title of the pages. Hobonichi does provide an English version. For sizing, Kinbor is 3.6 inches by 7.3 inches. Hobonichi is 3.7 inches by 7.4 inches, and both of them are around 0.4 inches in thickness. There is no mega version for the Kinbor. Hobonichi provides a mega version with extra note pages. Similarities, I wrote the layouts, of course. It is a week on one page and a blank grid on the other. You get 2 dots that you can use to break up your week, and they both come with 2 ribbon bookmarks. Okay, that was a lot, and that's just a TLDR. Now we're going to go into the side-by-side comparison, and I will go more in depth with everything I just said. Here I have the little house cover for the 2026 Hobonichi, and then I have my Starlight Bear cover for 2027 Kinbor. I'm not really keeping up with Hobonichi covers, and I'm trying to get this out before their sale, so if I can find a picture of all the 2027 covers they have to offer. I will include it here, and I will also include all of the covers available for 2027 for Kinbor. All right, let's begin. So here is the inner cover that I was talking about for Hobonichi. Since this is my first and only Hobonichi, my data might be skewed because maybe they're different. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. But the inner cover, the Hobonichi, looks like it is just their logo over and over again. Kinbor usually has decorated inner covers that correspond to the cover that you choose, so these will be different per planner. Next up, here is just the second inner page that nobody likes. It says Hobonichi Techo 2026 weeks. This just says 2027 weekly. Now moving on to the yearly overview. Here is the side-by-side comparison. Right off the bat, you can see what I mean by black ink versus gray ink. Hobonichi is a lot darker than the Kinbor. And also, this is cream paper and Kinbor is white paper. Here is a look at it afar, and then I'll show you the planners up close. For Hobonichi, you get the current year, the previous year, and the next year. Then you get to write down your own important dates at the bottom here. The current year is on the left-hand side of the page. For Kinbor, we have the previous year, the next year, and the current year, as well as the holidays, but it is in Chinese. The current year is on the right side of the page. Let me get this out of the way because I know I'm going to be slipping up a lot in this video, but I'm going to be referring to 2 pages together as one spread, and I'll just say page as the individual page. I'm going to try to remember that and stop mixing it up. I know it gets confusing. Next up, the yearly index. Here is the side-by-side comparison. For Hobonichi, you get the full 12 months on one spread. So on 2 pages, 6 months per page. There are blank lines to write stuff up here. And here are the days. The boxes for the weekends are colored in gray and red. For Kinbor, you get a blank grid on the top and on the bottom, and you have 2 months per page. So this will span 3 spreads, and you get 6 pages total of the yearly index. This is what the days look like. Instead of the colored boxes, the days and date are colored instead. So you can see that the Sundays are a darker red, and I'm not sure what the other shade of red is for, maybe holidays or something in the Chinese calendar, but the Sundays are in dark red. Here's a comparison of the month at the top. Here it has the month in number form and in word form. Next up, we have the monthlies. Here's the side-by-side. Here's the Hobonichi. You have a little rectangle for the month, and then the month and the year. Here are the days of the week. Oh, I didn't actually count the boxes of this. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boxes going across, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 boxes going down. There's the week number on the side, and then you have space of blank column, and they give you check boxes at the bottom. So this is standard for all of their monthly pages. For Kinbor, you have a bigger box to show the month. It says the month in English, the number, and the year. You get the previous month and the next month. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boxes across, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 boxes down. There is no checkbox at the bottom, but you do also have the column on the side as well as the week number. While I'm at it, let me also measure these boxes for you. This is a centimeter ruler. So one box for the Kinbor is 2 centimeters across and 3 centimeters going down. The grid box itself is around 4 milliliters. I don't know if you can see that, but here is the measurement so you can see it for yourself. I hope it's focused. Now for the Hobonichi, this is also 2 centimeters across and around 2.75 centimeters going down. Here is the measurement of each grid box if you want to see. I measured the columns as well. Both of these columns are 2 centimeters across. Here is the comparison again. You can see that the Hobonichi ink is darker, including the colors. The colors are more vibrant, whereas the Kinbor is a little more transparent. And some dates for the Kinbor are in that red. Okay, now we can move on. So the Kinbor has a yearly plan page, which looks like this. you just get 12 months on 2 pages, so one spread of the yearly plan. It is just a long vertical box for each month that you can fill out. This is what it looks like. Sorry in advance if things aren't focused. I can like hardly see what I'm recording. I hope for the most part it's been fine so far. At the top it says Plan of a New Year. Again, there is no English version for Kinbor, but they will tell you things in English. Here's the yearly plan. That is that. The Hobonichi does not have a yearly plan page, but Hobonichi will give you the December of the previous year, as well as the January, February, and March of the next year. Kinbor only gives you the January and December of that year, so you don't get any extra months. Then we can move on to the weekly pages, which is the more exciting part. Let's start with Hobonichi. You get the month and the week number on top. This was a date box I was talking about. So you get the date, you get the day in English, you get the day in Japanese, and then you get a moon phase. Here are the 2 dots to divide up this side of the page. This is 6 boxes across, and you have 1 line breaking up the right side. Then at the bottom, there is a quote for every single week, and you have the month showing which week it is. Here's the Hobonichi from afar. For Kinbor, at the top, you have the month, year, and the week number. You do have a little quote in Chinese. For the date box, you have the date, the day of the week in Chinese, the day of the week in English, the date in the lunar calendar, as well as what number of the day in the year it is. Also have the 2 dots to divide up the left side. And these are the icons I was talking about. So you get a water, apple, running man, and toilet paper. This is 5 boxes across before that divider. There is no quote at the bottom, and you also get the month and week. Here is the week from afar, and a comparison between the two. So you can see that the Kinbor does provide more space vertically to write because of the lack of quotes. So this is more true of a full page. The Kinbor has the weekends shaded in gray and red, whereas the Hobonichi has just Sunday in red ink. I'll let you marinate in these pages because I know this is the most important part of the planner. And you can really see the color difference too. Here is a scrap sheet of copy paper for reference. This is it against the Hobonichi paper. And then against the Kinbor paper. Do these planners lay flat? Let's see. So we are pretty early on in the weeks. Usually I'll just press the spine. For the most part, yes, it does lay flat, or it can lay open at least. I don't know if you consider this flat because the planner does kind of lift up. Same thing with the Kinbor. You press the spine down and it will lay relatively flat. It will lay open. And then of course, the more pages in you are, perhaps the flatter it'll be. Let me also show you a side view. Give me 1 second. Here is the side view of the Kinbor planner laid flat, and a side view of the Hobonichi planner laid flat. Next up, a paper flip test. Here is the sound and vibe, I guess, of the Kinbor paper. Ready? I am not a paper snob, so I really could not describe paper very well. So this is all I got for you. And now for the Hobonichi paper. I do think the Hobonichi sounds a little crimplier. Let me try to do it consecutively. Both papers feel very smooth. I don't know what to tell you. Now, I did mention that these are both 52 GSM Tomoe River paper, but Tomoe River paper is kind of an umbrella term. Not all Tomoe River paper is the same. I was informed that Hobonichi has like a special manufacturer for their paper, so I'm sure this is a bit higher quality. And of course, for the price difference, I would imagine that this is probably higher quality. But for all intents and purposes, these are still both 52 GSM Tomoe River paper. Once again, the grid for the Hobonichi is 42 down and 23 across. For Kinbor, it is 50 down and 24 across. Something interesting is that the Hobonichi grid lines up with the lines of the weekly. So if you see here, the line on the left will match up with the grid on the right. The Kinbor cannot say the same. The lines on the left do not align with the lines on the right. I mean, sometimes they do, but it's not consistent. Do you see that? I thought this was going to be longer, honestly, but let's move on to the note pages now. Here are the note pages side by side. The Hobonichi note pages do have a line dividing the note page. So there's 2 for 6 boxes and then a light divider. Hobonichi is 23 across and 49 down. These are numbered on the bottom right. And again, you get 75 note pages for Hobonichi. And there's also a mega version of this, which I don't know how many note pages there are in that, but there's more. For Kinbor, there is no dividing line. It is just plain blank grid all around. The pages are numbered at the bottom as well, and you only get 50 note pages for Kinbor, and there's no mega version. Just for funsies, let me show you the grid measurements again, so you can see for yourself. Here is the Kinbor planner and the Hobonichi planner. Then let's move on to the pen test, which is very important. I tested the same exact things in both planners. So I've got a mix of different gel pens, some ballpoint pens, fountain pens, very important, markers, highlighter, and stamp inks. The Hobonichi is on the left, the Kinbor on the right. Here is a close-up of how these pens performed. You can check out the top 4, which are fountain pens, for any feathering. And let me show you the back. Again, the left side is Hobonichi, the right side is Kinbor. When you're using paper that's this thin, you are bound to get ghosting. That is kind of just standard for Tomoe River paper. If that bothers you, I would either use a thinner pen or maybe don't look into these planners. But the only thing that bled through for both of these are this one marking or sign pen. I don't really know what these are called. It was a Uniball pin, which looks like this. But micron pens did not have any issue, as you can see. And stamp ink could be problematic, but I think that would be user error because if you have just less ink on the stamp, it probably won't bleed through. Let me show you them one by one. Here is the Hobonichi bleed through and ghosting. Sorry, it throws me off that you can see like feet through the paper. Okay, I think this is a better showcase of the ghosting. For Kinbor, same thing. That's it for the pen test. I do deem both of these planners as fountain pen friendly. Now we're going to move on to the extra pages. I'm going to start with Hobonichi first. They don't have any overlapping extra pages aside from like the personal information stuff. So Hobonichi provides using things around you to measure size. So it's a pretty informative sheet and it has a ruler. Then you get a favorites page or favorites spread. You can mark down movies, books, music, food, shopping, or it's a clapping emoji, but I don't really know what you would put there. Oh wait, it tells you movies, books, music, restaurants, events, games, and much more. Okay, much more. Here's a close-up of this layout. Then you get My 100. Make a list of up to 100 entries for anything you want, things to accomplish this year, books you've read, movies you've seen, snacks you've tried, shops you want to visit. It is up to you. And you can put a title. So it's kind of like a checkbox. And you get 100 entries. I see people get very creative with this spread. And same with the next one, which is memories of the year. Note down your experiences as they happen over the year. It'll be a fun way to look back and remember. Write a list or draw pictures, it's up to you. It's a very cute spread. These are all super functional. Then 12 switches to help you focus. You can pause and read that if you would like. This one's another informational spread. 365 days check-off sheet. You get the full year and you can color them in or cross them out or whatever. And you get addresses. Then their personal info page. Get a little stamp And here is the back cover. Again, it is just their logo across. Oh, that's an interesting texture. Here are their two ribbons. It is a black and gray one. I feel like this probably changes per planner, but I wouldn't know. No pocket here, but the Weeks does give you an adhesive pocket that you could stick on the back if you wanted to, or any adhesive pocket that you find. And that's going to be that for the Hobonichi. The Kinbor extra pages. You get schedule, a functional page. You have all the days of the week and a timeline on the side from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. This is the schedule. As you can see, it is written in English. The next one is gift list, time, to receive, name, and gift. Then you have 21 days plan. All the boxes are numbered, but the days are backwards. So it starts with day 1 here, and then you move along, and then you end with 21 days here. So kind of like a countdown, I guess. And then you have a blank grid rectangle here. This is 21 days plan. Then you get 2 spreads, so 4 pages of this, which is the favorites. It is a checkbox, nothing else to it. Every other checkbox is kind of grayed out to differentiate. Just a straight checkbox going down. Nothing crazy. 4 pages of this, 2 spreads. Then there's eye exercises. Now, there is no English on here, so if you cared, you'd have to like look up a translation, or you could read the Chinese if you know the language. Looking like it is eye exercises, self-explanatory. Then there's encyclopedia. Just a life hack, if you don't really use your extra pages, you can always print something out and just stick it on top. Like, you don't need to have these in your planner if you didn't want them. You have a China map. Then gourmet recommended. I have never looked up the translations for any of these. I don't even know what gourmet recommended means for this. Then there's the 24 solar terms. And your personal information. All the Kinbors have different stamps, actually, which I think is really cute. So this one is a bow, which matches the bow here and the bow on the cover. And then the back, here are the 2 ribbons for this planner. The colors do change per cover. This one is pink and yellow, and you get a built-in pocket in the back here, which, here we go. Yeah, built-in pocket. Here are the planners side by side, so you can see the thinness. I will also do a separate measurement, but here's just a comparison with my hand. Pretty similar. Let me show you the spine. Pretty similar. Here's the measurement for the Hobonichi. It's about 1 centimeter. I am pressing in right now. I think this is just the most consistent way to do it. For Kinbor, it is also just about 1 centimeter. I know I shared the measurement in inches earlier, but let me just do a manual measurement right now. So Kinbor across is around 9.5 centimeters by 19 centimeters. Hobonichi is a little less than 9.5 centimeters across and a little less than 19 centimeters going down. So the Hobonichi is smaller than the Kinbor, just ever so slightly. Here is the difference in height, and the difference in width is far less noticeable. Okay, this is completely flattened. I get questions asking if the Hobonichi cover is going to fit on the Kinbor cover. I don't have a Hobonichi cover, but I can show you the Kinbor cover. That's probably a little less productive because the Kinbor is bigger, so naturally it will fit on the Hobonichi. I have seen Reddit posts saying that the Hobonichi cover fits on the Kinbor, but it is snug because obviously it's a little bigger. But frankly, Kinbor covers are like $2 to $3 extra, so I personally would just shell it out so you have a snug fit. This is probably a waste of time, but I just want to be very thorough and cover all the bases possible. Okay, looks ridiculous. Here is the Kinbor cover on the Hobonichi planner. Actually, this isn't even an official Kinbor cover, which maybe I should use an official one, but whatever. I'm just going to use the same cover on both so you can see a comparison. There's a bit of an overlap everywhere. Actually, there's a tad overlap in this one too, but it does fit better. It's less noticeable. Okay guys, I think I just about covered everything. Does it lay flat? Yes. Pen test showed that. Paper flipping showed that. Measured the thickness of everything. Basically did that. Compared to copy paper. Yes. And clear cover comparison. Yes. I guess that is all. Now, as someone who hasn't used the Hobonichi Weeks before, you might have some very specific questions to ask if the Kinbor can do this or that. So feel free to leave it in the comments, or you find me on TikTok. I'm very active on there, and I'm more than happy to do a special video for you to show you whatever you want to know. Just let me know. Leave a comment either here or on TikTok. I love being helpful, and I especially love sharing Kinbor with the world. And I know that a lot of people don't even know it exists but would love it. So that's why I just continuously try to spread the word. My TikTok is the same as YouTube. It's going to be at VicariouslyXVlogs. I really hope this helped you make a decision or introduced you to something that you maybe didn't know about before, or answered some questions that you had. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe because I love posting about stationery. And also, you know, find me on TikTok. I'm very, very active there. I post probably too much. That is going to be it for me today. So I hope everyone has a wonderful morning, afternoon, and or evening, and I will see you all next time. Bye!